Hey guys, today I want to give you a little demonstration instruction on how to assemble our new cardstock model of the what we're calling the MegaHotel. This could be a hotel or an apartment building. It's a 2/85th scale. Now, this building is designed for the Middle East series, but it could probably be used just about anywhere, but it does have a certain Middle Eastern flavor to it. Basically, in the kit you're going to get the front. That's the one that has all the holes in it. You're going to get the back, which is the same size as the front, with no holes in it. You're going to get two ends or sides. You're going to get a top. The top is the one with the little tabs on it on 3 of the 4 sides, and this is actually an optional piece. This can be used in the bottom or about 1/3 or halfway up. It just helps things keep their shape, and it helps a little in assembly too. And then this piece here, this is the odd one. This is the piece that goes in behind the front, and that gives you these windows down here and the windows inside the balconies. Now, this is the only tricky bit of the whole kit. When this goes in, there's a couple of things you need to be aware of. It needs to be flush with the bottom. It's not going to be flush with the top. It's going to be down 50 thousandths of an inch, which allows for the top to fit in there flush. So it has to be flush on the bottom, and then it has to be flush on both sides with the inner grooves here, not the tabs that stick out, but the inner grooves. So when you set it this way and then grab it this way, you will see that the tabs stick out beyond this inner piece, and then there's a 50 thousandths of an inch step along the top, and that's so that the top can go on here and sit down flush, and the sides can go on, and the whole, if we turn them around the right way, and the whole tab and groove system works out well that way. So that's about the only real critical thing when putting this together, is to remember, flush it up on the bottom. Don't worry about the top. It's not going to be flush on the top. Flush it on the bottom, and then flush it on the sides here, on the inside edges of these grooves there. Okay, now there's an optional thing you can do before you put that back on there. If you have any scrap balsa wood or basswood or plastic or cardstock or whatever, you can cut yourself some strips, but in between, these are actually too long, but just for example, you can put them in between the rows of windows here. And what this will do when you put the front on is it'll give it slightly more of a 3-dimensional effect. It'll set those balcony windows back a little bit. I'm not sure if that's going to show up on the video or not. Whoops, that moved a little. But it does give it a little more of a 3-dimensional effect. That's just a little optional step you can do there if you have some scrap material laying around of any kind. Don't set this back too far, because you get it back too far and you'll be able to see in that there's no floors on these balconies, there's no side walls on them. It'll look kind of goofy. But if you set it out just a little bit, it'll give it a real nice 3-dimensional effect. Now, before we start putting it together, the other thing I want to tell you about is, if the first step normally would be to glue this piece onto the back of this. Now, if you do that and you intend to paint these windows in here on the balconies, it's going to be a little tricky getting in there to paint those. So what I would recommend doing is take this piece now, paint it completely, or at least the areas that are going to be visible, with the overall color you're going to use for your hotel. Paint the whole thing, and then come back and paint in these windows if you're going to do that. Once those are done, then you'll want to spray this thing, or brush it, however you're going to paint, with your base color. Now you can go ahead and put these two together, and you won't have to worry about painting those windows in there after it's together. Okay, that's another optional step. If you're not going to paint the windows, some people are just going to want to paint the whole thing one color and be done with it. That's understandable. There's a lot of windows here, and it's going to be a lot of work to paint them all. But if you do paint them all, and you paint them here first before putting this together, you're going to have a great looking model. So, first thing we want to do in putting this together, assuming that we have already painted that, is we would put some strips of glue here and put this together as I demonstrated before. Once that's together, now I'm not actually going to glue anything while I'm doing this because I am going to paint this, and I want to do it the way I was just talking about. But I want to run through this real quick with you so you know how it goes together. I've already run through the most critical things, but the basic assembly is good to know as well. So imagine that this is together. I would put this face down. I would take one of the sides. You'll notice that both of the sides have a extra archway here. That should be towards the front of the hotel. So this is the left side because it's got that archway towards the front. Now I would put some glue on these tabs and then along these edges here, and then I would just stick this down in there and wipe off any extra glue. If you have a little block and you want to keep it 90 degrees, perfect, do that. Okay, once that's done, I would go ahead and put the top in. Put your glue along this edge and along this edge and put it in here until it fits in there perfectly. And what that'll do, in addition to the block, if you don't have a block, that'll keep everything squared up real nice. Now we'll pretend that's glued and we're just going to let that sit and let that dry. While that's drying, I'm going to take my back and the other side with the extra archway towards the front, put them together this way, flip them over, and go ahead, put my glue all along there and put that together. And missing block here. We'll just pretend that that all dried and everything's fine. We'll block that together. And then here's that optional piece for the bottom, or it can go just about anywhere. I would go ahead and glue two of the edges and stick that in near the bottom, or about an inch up, inch and a half up, or something like that, and let that dry. And once this assembly is dry and that assembly is dry, then you can just put the two together and it's a piece of cake. Everything is squared up real nice and it goes together real nice. And then go about your painting. If you choose to not paint these windows and go ahead and put this together and paint everything all at once, I would recommend, once the thing is all together, how's that for the magic of video? Once it's all together, just spray the whole thing real lightly with a light gray primer. That's what I like to use. And then if you want to address the tabs and grooves here, a little bit of spackling paste, like I showed in the 15 and 20 millimeter foam board video. Just a little bit of spackling paste in there to fill those, and then sand them. You'll have a real nice corner, and you can do that around here on the top. As you can see, I didn't do any tabs along the front, so you don't have to worry about cleaning that up. But you do have a tab on each side and two tabs on the back. So you may want to clean up those edges, and then primer it, paint it, and you're done. And I think that's about all you need to know to get this thing together. It goes together in a few minutes. Painting is going to take a while if you want to do a real nice job of it, but when you're done, you'll have a real nice model. Thanks for watching.